All right, folks. I got a bit of a dark horse story time. All right. Anybody that's interested in hearing how things work in the media world, especially a young Padawan like myself, a young upstart, just trying to find his way in the world, I do want to tell you guys a story. Now, I know that it might appear that the dark horse boxing, that the stock is rising a bit. Okay, but I want to tell you guys a story about the times that things were not so great. This is a story about the time I flew a little too close to the sun, okay, and ended up crashing down. One of the greatest nights of my life in my boxing career. One of the worst nights of my life in my boxing career. It's not all sunshine and rainbows on this channel here. We're not only making fun of Michelle and Raheem, okay? So I look at today's date, it's June 1st, and it dawns on me. Not bullshit. I look at everybody's feed in the media and Joshua Ruiz, Joshua Ruiz, Joshua Ruiz. Okay, we get it. We get it. Now I say, well, old news. What do you got to offer? But then it dawns on me. I do have something to offer. I've got a story. It's gonna knock your fucking boots off. It's got all the elements. It's got the climb and the fall, and it's all good stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna bring you to the Garden June 1st. I'm headed out there. Okay, I'm on my way over there. I've got my Sunday's best. I'll put the picture up here. We've got a nice little Don Johnson kind of look, little attire, white polo pants. I got mustard on them that day. They're ruined. And some little like kind of hush puppy suede brown Johns here that I'm rocking. So I think I'm looking fly. I don't like it much anymore, but I liked it last summer. Thinking I'm looking cool. And you know what? The UK fans loved it. I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe that's my style out there. That's what I'm gonna go with. European cut. So I'm out there having a great time. I'm chopping it up with these UK guys. Long story short, Andy Ruiz does the impossible. Now, the day before, I'm talking to one of my coworkers, okay? And I'm saying, we're coming up with a plan because we plan things out. Even though we're the shitums of the boxing world and we're crumbs, we do kind of go in there with a plan of attack. Where am I going to be? Where are you going to be? If this happens, who are you covering? Who am I covering? Do we switch off? There's some method to this madness. So I say, well, listen, I spent some time with Andy's family this week. What happens if Andy wins? Right? Now, it wasn't that my partner, was above spending time with Andy. It just worked out that way. Plus, I'm Latino, so maybe that helps out a little bit. I spent time with Andy's family. What happens if Andy wins? My buddy says, he ain't fucking winning. It ain't happening. And we know the rest is history. Andy Ruiz wins. Most people, now I'm not claiming to say that I knew he was going to win. But there is some evidence, and I will play it for you right now. There is some evidence, and it is posted to my Instagram page if you must see it, okay? I ask a question at the presser, Joshua Ruiz. Okay, so there's some precedence to what I'm saying. This is all tying in. I'm going to wrap this all up in a nice bow for you. I'm at the press conference. This is the question I ask Anthony Joshua.
People are viewing this as maybe a closer fight than the Big Baby Miller fight. Do you agree with that assessment that this might have even been the better fight to begin with?
Good question. That's a very good question. That's a question that you might have to ask Eddie. Maybe you're trying to get me a little easy fight with Miller, but that boy wasn't going to make it easy with all them drugs in his body, That would have been a proper scrap.
Okay, so Ruiz, Joshua's response to that is good question. The reason why I ask, and I know that this is not proof, and we might even have some confirmation bias. I'm sure on some sense, dark horse boxing. Actually, I wasn't even dark horse boxing then. It's a funny story too. But I'm sure on some level, I always consider the underdog going into a fight, and every now and again they win, and every now and again I feel like, hey, I'm a genius, right? That probably happens, but there are some other things that happen leading up to the fight that led me to believe that it was a lot closer than people were predicting. And also, I just went back and watched Andy Ruiz. I knew this was not going to be a walk in the park. Again, I'm not claiming to say I picked Ruiz, but I had a feeling. If you couple it in with this conversation that happened the night before, Ruiz turns around and does the impossible. He wins. knocks Anthony Joshua out in dramatic fashion. I told you I spent a little time with Ruiz's family beforehand. So at the presser, nobody's come out at this point. We're hearing rumors that Joshua's not coming out at all. We're hearing that Ruiz will be coming out at some point. It's taking a while. The press room is filled with UK media, UK fighters, American fighters. It's a madhouse, and then it's just media just talking to each other. We're losing it. I spot Andy Ruiz's mom. Nobody noticed this, but a few days before, like I said, I spent some time around Andy, so I spent time around his family. I introduced myself to both his wife and his mom. And I got a little interview from her.
Reaction to that?
I'm just excited. I'm so proud of him. He made history.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
His mom.
She's on the phone. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him since?
Oh, no, I haven't. I haven't seen him yet. But I'm just proud of him. Oh, no, I'm really proud of him.
Congratulations,
Thank
guys.
you.
I wish you guys the best. Thank you.
Congratulations. No, I didn't thank you. I'm Hispanic.
Okay, so actually, it wasn't Andy Ruiz's mom. It was his wife. I got a chance to speak with his wife, but I did interview his mom right after. Andy Ruiz's wife was on the verge of tears. I mean, it was a crazy emotional experience. Again, I at the very least introduced myself to these people prior, and we were on a high and by level throughout fight week. Okay, so now Andy Ruiz comes out. Right, this is where you're saying, Jay, where's the bad stuff? You're doing work. You're doing the work a reporter should do. But watch this. This is where you're going to see me screw the pooch. Watch. You see? So Eddie Hearn comes out. Now we've got official word that Anthony Joshua is not going to come out at all. But he eventually ends up coming out. And there's some weirdness behind that. There's some inside baseball as to why I wasn't there. And maybe we'll save that story for another day. But he comes out. Eddie Hearn opens the questions to the floor. I'm sitting right in the front. Remember, I am wearing the Don Johnson attire. I think Eddie liked it. He picks me first, and this is the question I fire out. You've probably heard the quote, but you've never heard the question. This is history.
Andy, first of all, congratulations. You absolutely shook up the boxing world. I got a chance to speak to your mom a few minutes ago. They told me they didn't get a chance to speak to you.
Perfectly good question.
I want to say right now that you're in the same room with your family, to your family.
Mom,
And folks, that's it.
love you.
That's it. That right there is the moment that I ruined it. That's the moment I flew too close to the sun. Andy, I got a chance to speak to your mom. They told me they didn't get a chance to speak with you. What do you have to say now that you're in the same room as your family? Period. Mic drop. That's the end of the question. What do I do? What's Dark Horse do?
To your family. To your family.
Andy, what do you want to say now that you're in the room with your family? To your family. Screwed the pooch. Perfectly, they leave the audio in probably. If it's not today, Junior. We're renting the garden out, my man. We can't have you for that. Nonetheless, the quote went viral. I mean, and this was off a camera phone. This goes to show you. You can do good work off a camera phone. I was a new guy. I was nervous. I mean, that's probably the reason for the but I did the work off a camera phone. You see? And the quote went viral, and all my buddies, all the crumbs of the boxing world, they patted me on the back. They called me a hero. They were calling me a hero. Now, I mean, do I deserve to be called a hero? Yes. Yes, I do. Because it was an awesome question until the very end. Still, nonetheless, this is a history of my career. It's it's probably my best night of boxing. And the little Easter egg I'm going to give you is that's the name of the channel, Dark Horse. That's how I thought of it. I hung around the underdog. Nobody thought that he had a fucking chance, and I saw it live in front of my own face. One of the biggest upsets in boxing history. Awesome night, great times. June 1st, 2019. That's a day that will live on in infamy in my mind. I had the best time of my life, hung out with tremendous people. We'll run a little montage over here. Great time, man. Anybody that hung around, stuck around with me to listen to my horse shit, thank you. Thanks for stopping by.